Hi, my name is Ed, and I created MyEventTracker.net, and this was created because I was helping out with some various horse riding events as an amateur radio operator. So I want to go ahead and show everybody this particular site and system and how it works. So the start was basically tracking everything from basically a whiteboard design setup, and basically tracking all the times as everybody was coming in through the various checkpoints. We had various amateur radio operators set up these water points, calling in the times, and then everybody was able to walk up and see the times that are coming in, and then basically figured there was probably a more efficient way of being able to track this and everybody would be able to calculate everything. And then it evolved into a electronic big board system where we can actually calculate everything in based on the variables, because we knew how the distances between all the checkpoints, could figure out the actual calculations based on the times that came through the checkpoints, based on those distances, when they're actually going to arrive at the next checkpoint. So we can also estimate how long the actual volunteers need to be at those particular checkpoints. It makes it a lot easier to figure out the actual times and everything. A lot easier to coordinate. Now I've also digitized it again, and now I've made it to where it's actually a lot more easier to access that data, because now it's all on to an actual web page. And so this is the actual web page that I've actually created. So this is just a kind of a starting point. So this is the public feed, what it looks like, and then part of a coordinator side, kind of a demo to kind of show how that system works. But so as far as an actual live event side, you go to this live.myeventtracker.net. You can actually search by event ID. So if you're actually at an event, you can type in the actual event ID number if you know it, or if you don't, you can also just type in a zip code and you actually search for it. And so, for example, here's one for example right here. So I actually modeled a previous event that I've actually already did, and here's this one right here. And so here's the that same event that I actually covered a while back, for example. And then so when you go to this, you can actually look at a particular ride participant. Click on this one here, and you can actually see this particular person as they were going through this event. It actually looks at the actual times based on those distances and estimates the actual average speed over that over the course, and then also does a nice little speed profile. And because it was also designed around a particular horse ride event, it also takes into account the actual mandatory hold times during that as well. So even though it's showing the speed profile, it's taking into account those mandatory holds. It doesn't dock that against when it does those particular speed calculations as well. So it's really kind of cool. So as far as the how it actually works from a actual ride coordinator's standpoint, I'll go ahead and actually log in and actually show. So when you actually log in, you can actually go ahead and say register for an event. We can go ahead and start typing in. I'm going to say like I say demo event. And then visibility, you can make it to, as we're starting this off, you can make it to where it's not going to be publicly searchable, or you can make it so that way people can actually see it right away. Type in a zip code. And then for the date, we can go ahead and say September 30th, for example. Event logo, we can go ahead and punch in like a URL. So if it's on like a Facebook or if it's on another website or something like that, we can go ahead and just type in, just paste the actual link for this. If you don't put one in, it's going to use the logo for MyEventTracker. And then right here, this is some event information, so you can put in like contact Ed on 147.000, for example. Something like this. You can put information. Minimum of at least 3 checkpoints, including the start point. You don't have to put in the GPS points, but it is helpful because it also helps to allow the actual map points. So participants or the support crews can actually click on the actual links later on and actually see the actual maps. It goes to a Google Maps, for example. But for example, I can go ahead and say water 1. I could say it's the actual distance, and this is based on how far it is from the previous checkpoint to this particular checkpoint, and then if there's an actual hold time in minutes here. And then let's say water 2. Let's say this one's 4 miles, right? And then maybe this is going to be, I don't know, a bridge or something like that, right? So this is going to be 6.25, right? Okay, and then maybe we can say finish at 7.38. You can get real specific with it if you want. Then we can scroll down, we can go ahead and hit save. What we can also do is if you have multi-day events, you can also import these as a CSV file, so that way you're not re-importing or recreating the same information multiple times. And then you can basically enter the date, and then so you can create multiple events over multi days as well. So it makes it really easy to be able to do that. So I just created my demo event, for example, right here. And I just go ahead and click on that. So now I have my my event, but I don't have any participants in that. So the next part of this is go ahead and create my participants. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and say 101, or actually 101, yeah, there we go. Say Joe. Let's say he's going to go 50. Hit enter. 102, John, 50. Let's say James. Oops. 105, James, 50. And so now I've just created 3 participants. What I can also do is I can also import them in through CSV as well. Okay. So now I can go ahead and hit start. And so when you're entering times for the actual event, notice I clicked on the actual checkpoint up here on the top, and so I can enter the actual times individually like this. I can go ahead and hit the now button, and it'll go ahead and just use the current timestamp. Or what I can do is I can also say, well, this is the starting point, so I just go ahead and just enter the time once, and I can go ahead and just enter in a current time. Okay, let's just say it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I can just go ahead and say group, and then hit save. Right? So now I've just entered all of those in. And now for water 1, maybe it's going to be, say, maybe at 9 o'clock, and maybe this is going to be, say, 9:05. And notice these buttons right here, so it's also touch friendly, so you can use like an iPad if you want. Okay? I want to go ahead and hit save. And what's really cool about this is once it has at least 2 points on here, it starts estimating the ETAs, because what it does is it takes the time and the distance, and it basically it creates the an average a speed. It projects the speed, and then basically plays that forwards with the next distance, and then basically estimates the actual time of arrival for the next checkpoint. So it makes it really handy. So if you go to this one, for example, you'll see this little check column. It lets you know that this particular participant does not have a time entered for the previous checkpoint. So it makes it really handy to be able to understand if there's going to be some data errors, because if you enter a time in here, there's not a field entered on a previous checkpoint. So it makes it so if you have people calling in saying, hey, they just came in through this particular checkpoint, well, what about the previous checkpoint? It makes it really easy to be able to understand what's going on. So you can export the participant data. So if you export this, it basically saves everything as a .csv file. So there's everything right there. Also, when you create the event like this, you can also export this as a flyer, for example. So here's demo event.pdf. So I can open this up. I'm not sure if you're able to see this, but I can go ahead and create a basically saves it as a flyer, so that way people can go ahead and scan this and be able to send it out, email it, put it on Facebook, and they can also be able to see the event numbers. And at the end of the event, for example, if everybody's all done and we want to get rid of the particular event, then what we can do is you export information back out. You can save everything. You can also when you export the participant data, that's also how you can re-import the information back in on a different day, for example. So I can go ahead and say I want to say register another event. I can say browse. I'm going to go ahead and import another event, right? I'll pick a different date, say the 29th. So I just imported. There we go. There's another date. And so the system actually emails you and lets you know what the new ID number is. So there's another event right there, but it has no participant data. So I can go ahead and say add participant, and I can import those via CSV file. So I can say participant board upload. It will create duplicates if you do this, though, so it doesn't do an update. It actually just inserts them straight in, and so I just added the participants straight in. So it made it really easy to create another event for another day entirely. If you're done with a particular event and you want to go ahead and just delete it, you can just go ahead and scroll down through the edit and then say delete event data. It will delete all the participants and the actual event itself, and then that event is now gone. And that's it. That is how easy it is to use MyEventTracker.net. And going through this, we can also go ahead and say sign out. I can go ahead and look at all the events, and because I did not set the visibility to public, it was that one is not actually visible. So one of the things to also keep in mind is to make sure that you are setting the visibility to public when you are doing this. And then the way you do that is go through the edit event to make sure you set the visibility once you have everything set correctly. So yes, for example. Okay. Now I can sign out, all events, and then there's my new event, and it sorts by date as well. So now I can open that new one. So now let's see, I'm on the public feed, and now I see the same information. So I can look at this and I can see there's my speed profile, there's the times, and it's projecting it correctly. And that's it. That is MyEventTracker.net. It's free to use, and it also enhances the safety and accountability of all the ride participants during your event. It can be used for horse rides, motorcycle rides, anything where people or participants need to be tracked during a course of an event. Thanks for watching.